folks, Ariel over here. So we are working on finishing up everything that we can outside before winter. So as the siding is still going, as you can see, but where we have a completed wall like this one, we are working on things like, this is a project I can mostly do, putting down a layer of rock here to catch the, or to prevent the water that comes off of the roof overhang from digging a trench and splashing mud up on the house and such for the long term. So this outside row of rocks were all carefully picked to angle away, so when a water drop comes down here, it'll hopefully splash out. There will eventually be flowers growing right here. That will not happen until next year, but it will splash out. It will help water the flower bed if we get any rain that summer, but either way it will direct it away from the house. And then the rock back under here, there'll be nothing growing right up against the house there to protect it, and the rocks will hopefully be a little bit multi-purpose and keep it kind of clean, keep cats from using it as a bathroom, which they've been thinking has been fun as we have it all dug up here for several years. Keep the chickens from scratching holes in it, which they also think is fun, and so on. So eventually the perimeter right around the edge of each house will look like that. Clay's also got the vent covers done on the cellar vents down into the crawl space, foundation vents, whatever those are called. That's all sealed up before winter. Now in the spring still, you can see part of my rock piles I'm picking from, but we'll have to, now that it's settled out, do the final grading work on some of this, get it perfectly leveled. It's draining away from the house pretty good, but get it, make sure the last little touches are fixed up there, and get some topsoil right here, and there will be flower beds all around the house. But that won't happen till spring. But we're trying to get this done, the splash and mud guard for the house, done this year. Someone will probably wonder why we don't just put a gutter on. That works great in a lot of areas. Here where we have massive amounts of snow and it slides off, especially given our metal roof, it shears gutters off usually with the first slide of snow and tears up the edge of your roof. So gutters are generally not done on houses here. We also tend to get very little rain. Most of the precipitation comes down as snow and then melting snow in the spring. Clay has also been working to finish up anything else that required digging in the ground outside this year. So there is a new propane tank sitting right here, as you can see, and it's got propane line that goes into the ground and goes under the ground to the house wall over here. I only have so much footage of doing a couple of these things because some of them were worked on days when I was away cleaning other people's houses. But anyway, this was trenched underground and comes back up right here against the house wall, where you can see I'm walking through here. We still got scaffolding because this wall's mostly sided, but we got a little bit to finish up there at the top. But anyway, that goes into the wall. It's just stubbed in there and currently isn't attached to anything, but will eventually be attached to the dining, or the cooking range in the kitchen. So that part got done before the ground froze up for the year. And I've got all kinds of long-term plans, but because looking at that white tank isn't something I want to always have in the view, at some point, probably next spring, we'll get either a little fence and or some bushes planted around it so that we will look at that and not the white tank. But that will not happen this fall. Also, in the you can't see it department, there is a gray water drain that comes through the foundation wall underneath there, totally buried, can't see it at all from in here, but is trenched out there. You can kind of see the remnants of the trench and a drain field put in. So after digging the trench, what you can see some photos of here is Clay putting these infiltrators into the ground. That's the turtle shell looking things. They sit flat and level on the bottom of the trench, so when water comes out of drain, it can flow into them. They have holes and such built into the sides so that the water can slowly percolate and diffuse out into the soil. And then of course you rebury the whole thing. And Clay did a little standpipe here at the far outside end so that we can check it to be sure nothing is ever plugging up in the future and so on. There should not be an issue with that. And again, this is for gray water only, so that's like bath, shower, sink, and so on, that's going in there. The property does not have any black water because we have no flushing toilet or anything like that. So this will filter into the ground, and those little infiltrator things are kind of neat. They snap together. You can line up multiple of them. I believe they're also used in creating leach fields for a septic tank, but in this case they are being used for a gray water drain field here. This house will only have gray water because we do not have any septic system or sewage creation because we are continuing to use a composting toilet. So anyway, this is part of the whole host of things that Clay was pushing to try to get done before we have the ground freeze up for the year, which it hasn't yet. You can see the snow line up there in the mountains. It was down almost to the valley floor last night. It's receded a bit today. I'm sure it'll come up and down some. The ground was white in the yard at one point. It's melted, obviously, but that will continue to happen. So anyway, before the ground got frozen, these were some of the last things that needed finishing outside. So anyway, as you look back down our line of scaffolding there on the unfinished siding, we're doing inside projects when it's raining and snowing outside, and then working outside on the siding is pretty much the only one left now when it is weather that permits that, and so on. So we'll see how much of that we get done, but it is really nice to have some of these other things that required digging into the ground done before winter, so that if we get a chance, we should be able to finish the interior of the house through the winter and have nothing left to do outside other than, like I said, the final grading away to be sure all of this, soil slopes perfectly to where it's not ever a drainage problem around the house. And then next spring, I know somebody had commented that it looks very dead and bare around the house, and yes, it does. As soon as we're not building it and siding it and we get that finished, there will be some of the topsoil back around there, and I plan to have flower beds pretty well all around it. So as you can see, we're getting the siding pretty far up on all these sides. Got one side completely done. As soon as we get done over here, I'll be continuing my rock work right around the drip line and so on. So that is some of the wrap up quick before the ground freezes solid before winter projects. Looking back at the shop wall does look very bare and dead now that everything is out of those planters because it was frozen. That's what you guys saw me cleaning up the other day. And they've got compost put back on the surface and they're all ready to plant for next spring. But it sure does look bare without its big wall of flowers and veggies and herbs. And somebody asked what all the gravel was. That's the lane that comes in from the driveway. And then you can see this little strip of green. That is the edge of the lane. That will also be the edge of the yard, and theoretically everything coming this way will be green. At the moment it is just rock that has been dug into from the process of building the house. But when we get that topsoil spread back over things in the spring, this will become green yard from that little strip that remained back all around to the flower beds around the house. Just so you can kind of envision what I can see in my head. It is somewhat splotchy green out that way, looking toward the woods. And at some point there won't be scaffolds and wheelbarrows and trailers and all the various construction stuff in the way, and it will be all neat and tidy and beautiful. But the gravel right across from the house is the shed and the barn. These buildings all kind of provide a windbreak to the north side of the property that we can get wind from all directions. And the big shop building and the microclimate created by the gravel in the lane and the big dark building wall there that allows those planters to grow things that we can't grow anywhere else on the property. So that's what that is. And hopefully by next spring, a lot of this will start to look much more green and bloomy, which will be very exciting to get to doing that part. I don't know how well you can see it. You got to look against something like the dark rooster pen or the tarp over the wood pile, but the sun is out brightly and it is snowflaking. The snow line almost came down to the valley floor again overnight.
Thank you everyone for watching. It means a lot, and I hope you learned something along the way.
If you know somebody else who would enjoy this as well, share it with them.